board member with us this morning, Mrs. Renee Bosworth. So I guess we'll start in just a few minutes after we do our invocation. We'll let you sworn in.
Okay. You have your oath of office for?
I've already been sworn in. Okay, that's great. Awesome.
Sorry.
I apologize for my tardiness. Traffic was a little more than I expected this morning.
All right, Mr. Raymond.
Good morning. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the month of September, for this office meeting. Thank you for everyone that is participating. Thank you for your understanding, knowledge. Give us your wisdom. Teach us your word. Let us be your servant today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Jennifer Reed.
Present.
Nicole Godin. Present. Michael Anderson.
Present.
Brittany Petrie. Renee Bosworth. Lauren Quinlan. Present. Raymond Copeland.
Present.
8 board members present, and there is a quorum. Sorry, seven.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the revised agenda? No questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to accept the revised agenda. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Disposition.
Make a motion to accept the board meetings from our August 5th meeting.
Second.
Okay, everyone in favor?
Aye.
And we'll turn it over to the school business.
Okay, first we need Mr. Cosby. It's about his school, so he'll have to recuse himself.
Okay.
Okay, so Gray J's College of Hair is up for final approval and also the approval of the instructor curriculum. You'll see everything in your packet. Our inspector says the building's good to go and their curriculum's attached for the instructor program.
I make a motion to approve Ray J's College of Hair for their final approval and their instructor curriculum.
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Somebody wanna grab him? Appreciate it.
Telling me said no.
All right. Next, we have Blaylock's Professional Beauty College. They want to add the aesthetics curriculum. They do have enough space for it. They built the room out to make it big enough, and you'll see the curriculum in your packet, along with the inspection report confirming they have enough space.
Make a motion to approve Blaylock's aesthetics curriculum.
All in favor?
All right.
To recuse myself?
Yes.
She was supposed to be here, she must have called me.
I did, yeah. All right. Next, we have Compass Career College. This is their intent to open an additional location. You'll see their financials, their business plan, and their letter of intent. So they just need the first permission to move forward with the next steps. Oh, and this is our representative from Compass. She just got here. If y'all have any questions.
bit late.
Good morning, everybody.
We're actually on your thing now.
Oh, wonderful, okay, just in time. Someone want to make a motion?
I move that we go forward with this.
Okay. A second. Okay. All in favor?
Let record reflect that. The other board member.
Okay, can you grab Nicole?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Let her sit down. Sorry. Okay, and we have Avery James College. This is just to let you guys know they're changing their name to Delta College West. I don't know if we need a motion for that.
I think it's just
Informative.
Yeah.
And that's all I got for you today.
Okay, before we move forward, the guests want to introduce themselves? Let us know where y'all from.
I'm from Avery James College, which hopefully will be changed to Delta College Midwest. I'm the corporate director of accreditation and curriculum.
And your name?
Carol Postagala.
Nice to meet you.
That's more important, I suppose.
I'm with Avery James. I'm Lydia, I'm the director.
Good morning, my name is Dr. Christian Vijay. I'm the provost of Delta College and Avery James College.
Erica Williams Parks, headliners NOLA.
Hi, I'm Sarah Duga. I'm with Compass Career College in Hammond, Louisiana.
I'm Erin Grace, Palm Mitchell Schools.
Melinda Tilley, the Ritz Academy.
Christy Makowitz, Esther Beauty.
Robert Burns, Sound Off, Louisiana.
Dr. Andrea Cozy, Ray J's College of Hair.
It's good to have all y'all here today. All right, we're going to move on to new business. All right. So we are going to, with the board's approval, we'd like to bring the legislative bill for a fee increase for our license for the upcoming legislature. Ms. Sherry, can you give us a written bill in the next couple of weeks so we can?
Yes, so we've had several bills that have been proposed over the years, none of which has passed. And they've had various structures. So what information I would need is the amount of the increase when it becomes effective. We have various license types because we have schools, we have facilities that provide services, various types of facilities within that category, and then we have cosmetology licenses, and then we have the other programs, instructors, estheticians, manicurists, and then we have permits. So we would need to, right now, all of the licenses are $25, and facilities are 30. And schools are 165. 165. So we would need to, determine the fee increase for each category, so that we can put that accurately in the bill. And in the past, Mr. Young has put together information about how much the operational costs have been for the past couple of years preceding the bill. The board has for a long time been spending their fund balance, and the board is in need of some capital improvements such as new computer software, probably the board owns the building, so any repairs to the building are also things that you want to consider when you consider what your fee increase is going to be and the total amount of revenue that would generate, so that you can cover that. And I would also suggest that because it is very difficult to get a fee increase, that you kind of look in the future, not just what you need today, but what will last several years into the future. Retirement costs, health insurance costs, utility costs, all those things have increased significantly since the fees were set. So those are all things you want to look at, but I can provide the draft of the bill, and maybe at the next meeting or so, you all can fill in the amounts. We have plenty of time, but I think Mr. Young will be preparing the budget in October. So maybe when you prepare the budget, you'll have those numbers in front of you.
Okay, so I'm asking for the board's approval to move forward with this. Have a motion?
I make a motion to move forward with approving the fee increase to legislation.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next on the agenda is cosmetology task force. So we feel as though we need to bring our testing, our practical testing, into the 21st century. That will take us creating a task force. So I would like the board's approval to create a task force. It would be 7 members, 1 of the staff members from here, a board member, 2 test admins, and 3 school owners. That is the committee that will get together to discuss possibilities and strategies for any type of practical test changing that we want to move forward with.
You said a staff member, 3 school owners, 2 testers,
And 1 board member.
Why would it have to be school owners and not somebody that's licensed in the industry already? Like, for instance, if you have somebody that's really proficient in alternative hair, why wouldn't you have somebody that's already licensed in that to be able to support with a section of that? Is that a rule?
Well, it's the way it was set up in the guidelines for the last task force. But that is something to consider.
Because sometimes school owners don't even do hair.
We're talking about changing the cosmetology.
I understand that.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm just saying, like, some school owners aren't even licensed in cosmetology. So how would they be able to support you?
We'd appoint one that would.
When we did aesthetics, we didn't have it done like that.
No, you used industry
We used
professionals.
industry professionals.
They want to sign up again. So we'll have a tablet at the end of the meeting, and if anybody is willing to sign up and be considered for recommendation, or if you know someone, we're just cracking the surface of this, but thank you. That's something to consider.
I will add myself to that, please.
Thank you.
All right, so do I have a motion to accept moving forward?
I have a question. What's the duration of the task force? How long of a commitment is it?
It depends. I'm thinking it could be up to a year, meeting possibly twice a month, maybe once a month, depending on what stage we're in.
And we understand that everybody is not local, so we are not opposed to conducting meetings virtually.
We don't have a rule to allow that.
To allow the cosmetology task force. The cosmetology task force is not even in the rules, so how can it be disallowed?
It's created by the board, it's a committee of the board, and then it will have to meet a couple apply with everyone as well. But
We did
a lot of
virtual for the
the
advisors.
information, sometimes from the task force, a lot of the gathering of the information can just be done remotely and to minimize the number of meetings necessary.
Oh, we broke through, okay. Yeah, that's.
No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a camera in my face.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's my hopes that this is gonna be a good thing for us, for our industry. I think that, we need to modernize the test. I think it's gonna be a very good thing if we can get this off the ground and running.
Make a motion to move forward with the creation of the cosmetology task force.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Steve?
If you don't mind, on the cosmetology task force, everyone has, many people have come and said, look, nobody does these things anymore. Nobody comes in for these, you know, have your hair rolled, perm, and they're saying that our test is antiquated. So if we take a task force and look into that for the next 6 or 8 months, where people can come to the board meeting, listen to proposals, agree or disagree, to find an avenue so that that test can be changed to a more modern principle rather than something that was in the 30s and the 40s. And some of these things are not even done anymore. So I think for the board to take that at this time is good, because it'll give the board something to do for the next several months. It's important that the industry is at least up to the standards of the modern community, and that our testing may be done in a more proficient manner. And it may mean that we have to do some additions in the back, so we will have enough AC plug-ins for the equipment we need to use. At this time, we don't have. It's why we've not changed these things. So hopefully, along with a fee increase, we've been hoping for that since 1996. And so that's a long time to hope that the minimum wage goes up, particularly in this time of inflation. So just to mention that. But now, otherwise, as a functioning organization, I think that we are doing fine. We need to be able to absolutely modernize some of the technology that we use online to be able to communicate with people immediately and things like that. But as far as a group, I am really thankful for the appointed group that we have. I think our new members are really anxious to look into the business, to take care of matters that need to be taken care of. And I appreciate that. I think the chairman has called me enough times already that I know that I have to be kind of diligent, because she's going to be on me. And that's what needs to happen. So, but for the members of our board, for the people who work here, we are going to have to be diligent on trying to at least get some type of increase in the amount of money that we have been collecting, because when we have civil service positions that start at $8 or $8.50 or something like that, you can go down to McDonald's and get a job for $15 an hour. That is going to pretty much kill us from having employees that are willing to work. And so all of these things need to be taken into consideration. The fee part is civil service, something that is really tough to get into, but I think if this inflationary trend does not subside, that somebody's going to have to do something for all state agencies, because there's just not going to be anything there for civil service, and no one's going to want to be hired. But that's a problem for another day and today. But we are probably going to have to cancel our testing. We have 32 people coming on Wednesday. So this morning on the weather, they're saying that we've got a hurricane coming in. And if that's the case, then wherever that thing is Wednesday morning, the governor will probably close all the offices in South Louisiana, and then so we're going to go ahead and have our staff cancel our testing on Wednesday and reschedule it for as soon as we can the next week or the next week, because it looks like at this time that by Wednesday we're going to have pretty much of a storm coming right through here. And so people coming from Shreveport, Lake Charles, New Orleans don't need to be driving in the storm, and probably wouldn't come anyway. So just to let you know that. Now, at this time, I would like to take any questions that the board may have on any particular subjects. Or even if the audience may have a question or two. Yes, sir.
What have been the reasons in the past for not getting a fee increase approved?
Well, mainly, I'll say this, that the legislature has not wanted to give fee increases to us. The Barber Board has had a fee increase, but it seems like some member of the legislature's person who does their hair calls and says that they can't afford a $10 a year increase, and that's not even a good tip anymore. But the legislature has not wished to give any increases in fees. And for the most part, it's something that this board needs to have their legislators work on, because it's necessary. I mean, how do you, they either have to close us down or let us survive, one of the two. And it's hard just to bleed to death, you know. So let's get an increase in our fees. So each board member should contact their senator and their legislator and speak to them about the necessity of increasing these fees, because at one point, this board did have a fund balance that was a pretty good fund balance, but that has gone down to virtually nothing. I mean, we just have enough to survive from year to year. And if things continue to go up, then we will start to have to cut staff members, to cut expenses, to cut everything we've got. So we're just trying very hard to keep our head above water at this point. But it's terribly important for board members and school owners, licensed personnel, to speak to their legislators, to let them know that we do need to survive. So if you can do that, wonderful.
So, I think there has been a sentiment in the legislature not to increase fees, and this board did have a fund balance, and I think a lot of it is a misunderstanding and maybe lack of knowledge of the operations on the part of some of the legislators. This board gets zero general fund dollars. The only money that comes into this board are the fees that are generated. And we work on an annual budget, so even though we had a fund balance, that fund balance was not, the board not being able to get an increase had to use that fund balance to supplement their operations, which means that they've not budgeted any money for renovations to the building. There has been, requests to change the test to something that would require additional electric outlets and things like that, and that has not been able to happen. Also, upgrading the technology that's used in this office. The technology is extremely old, but we didn't have enough money to take the money out of the fund balance to acquire a new computer system. So they're thankfully still working on the old computer system, but every year it gets older and the technology is so outdated. So when you look, and some of the legislators looked at the budgets, it looks like you have this big savings account, but the savings account was not sufficient to either do renovations or to get a computer system, knowing how difficult it was to get a fee increase because you knew that you might need that for operations. And there have been a lot of things that have, placed additional costs on the board, and even the pandemic and things of that nature. When we have storms in the area, that increases travel expenses because the damaged facilities need to be inspected quickly in order to make their insurance claims and get back up and running. So sometimes inspectors are working out of area. They're all servicing the area where the damage is. So there's a lot of things that affect what your operation costs are that are not within the control of the board. And I think that there's a lack of understanding that this board does not get any general fund dollars. It didn't get any additional money because of the COVID pandemic for technology. A lot of the, some of the agencies got technology money to be able to get laptops to work off-site and things of that nature. This board didn't qualify for any of that. So there's just a lot of things. You can't just really look at the budget and say, this is the amount of money in the bank account and it's sufficient to operate next year. It's not sufficient to do anything, to modernize anything, to upgrade anything, or to make anything more efficient. So with technology upgrades, you could make things more efficient for your licensees to renew their licenses and obtain information from the board. With additional money, you could, extend the life of the building. To my knowledge, the only repairs that have been done in many, many years are just emergencies, when the air conditioning goes out or when the roof is leaking. And some of those things could have been better prevented with more regular maintenance of the building, but there's just really not money to do your regular maintenance to avoid those emergencies. So there's a lot of things that have, really should be built into the budget, regular maintenance, regular technology upgrades and things like that, but the board has not been able to do anything more than really a standstill budget, correct?
That's it.
Because even with a standstill budget, you do have sometimes increase in pay for employees that have longevity, and it's to the board's advantage to have employees that have longevity because there is a training and knowledge that's needed for the positions. And the insurance through the state, the Office of Group Benefits is not controlled by this agency, but it sometimes increases. And the retirement percentage on salaries sometimes increases through the state retirement system, and that's not something that is optional or the board can control at all. So the increases in those things then reduce the amount left for operations. And so it takes a little bit more understanding to look at the budget, and Steve will go through that when he presents the budget and you'll be able to see it, but you can't just really look at the snapshot of 1 year. You have to look at more long range to be able to adapt to technology and changes in the industry.
Is it possible to get a bullet points that we could communicate to our state reps on the board, so we can just shoot out an email with
I have two things. Okay, for legislation, Rep. Wanda Butler is a hairdresser. So like she's well liked. So I think that she should be targeted as running a bill for that. I think she could advocate the best. When you're talking software updates, are you talking online payments as well? Because I live here in Baton Rouge and it's a pain for me to even pay my licensing. Nobody owns a checkbook anymore or anything like that.
We don't have the website that they're
Yeah,
working?
so that
it
would
doesn't
be part of like the
support-
software
Yes,
update?
yes.
Okay.
It sounds like
Really needs a
basically
new
the fee increase needs to
database.
happen for any of the things we want to happen, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
The database is very, very old. It was transferred to this agency from the Division of Administration. It's technology that, it's not in line with the technology that's used and supported by mobile devices and those sorts of things. So, the board has several times tried to replace the technology, but it really wasn't affordable. So payment processing
Yeah.
is something that is another thing that needs to be integrated.
I just wanted to say, to answer his question, I think it's just always been a major disadvantage that we start working on this in January.
And legislation's in March.
Yeah.
So we need to start now.
So now is the
That
time.
now
I
is
think
the time.
that is going to be like game changing, that we start now.
I have a question. Do late fees have to go through the bill process as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the board actually does collect a lot of late fees, which kind of helps out
90%.
the budget. But it really, you shouldn't be relying upon late fees. Really, your budget assumptions should be based upon, a smaller percentage of late fees. But I think this board has higher late fees than some other boards, and the late fees do help support.
And the board also does not get its money at one time. See, we do our license, everybody has a birthday. That's when your license is due on your birthday. And you have 30 days from your birthday to pay your license fee, or there is a fine. So when the legislator looks at that and says, oh, look, you got a lot of money, no, our money comes in day by day by fees. It is not given to us in one lump sum by the state government and say, here. And so that's kind of how it looks, and you'll have to explain that too. January, we do collect for salons, that's at one time, but the rest of the year, for the 37,000 people, it's their birthday. So it comes in on their birthday.
So that's another factor. You need that fund reserve to keep cash flow, because you've got to make payroll and pay the utilities and all those sorts of things. So you can't really start off with zero on July 1st, because you wouldn't have enough money to pay payroll after 1 or 2 months.
What percentage of revenue comes from the consent decrees we usually discuss? Or consent agreements?
From fines and fees, from the consent orders, it's pretty low.
5-6% are probably.
Correct me if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but just on the few meetings I've attended, it seems like all of them come from 1 or 2 districts. Is that, is
It
there a
might have
reason?
just been the way they were set up. I don't.
Because I know that's happening
the
all
truth.
over the state. I haven't seen any from Shreveport or in that area yet.
Might not have gotten to that fact yet. Yeah, that's another thing that the board did quite a number of years ago. The fines are relatively low, $200 per violation is the maximum. So sometimes $200 is not a deterrent to violations, and so we did ask the legislature that if it were a second or third violation, if it was a subsequent violation, to have a higher fee for a second or violation, and that was also rejected by the legislature. So that might be something that you want to look at as well, because it does, the licensees are subsidizing the violations, because we don't recoup nearly what it costs to go forward with the violation.
Does anybody have any questions or comments other than what we've discussed already? No? Okay, we'll move on to you, Ms. Sherry, once again.
Another cost that we have is the Daiquiri lawsuit, which is a suit this board pays into the Office of Risk Management Fund, and that's a cost that you don't control as well, but that's where the board gets its insurance for certain things, for workers' comp, for property insurance, and for tort liability, general liability insurance. The board has been involved in this piece of litigation and several in the past that have not been covered by the Office of Risk Management because there were challenges to rules or procedures. Also, appeals of administrative hearings are not covered by your risk management contract. So the Daiquiri case was, a writ application was filed with the Louisiana Supreme Court by the plaintiff, and we did just last week file an opposition to that. If the Louisiana Supreme Court they could either decline to review the case, it's not a mandatory review case, or they could accept the case, they could rule on it based upon the information they have, or they could request briefs and argument. So we're not finished with that case yet, though we are in the final stages of it, so that's something that is a cost that you can't recover. So far, that's the only lawsuit we have right now. And so we'll just wait. If we get any information about it, the status, or we receive a ruling, I will email it to board members and staff.
Sure, I have a question. Is it your recommendation that when we go for the fee increase, that we should talk about the late assessment of late fees and stuff, or should we do that totally separate?
The late fees right now are equal to the license fee, right? Because it's $25 for your license and it's $25 late fee. So I don't know if you want to keep it the same, but the late fees are in the same statute with all the fees. Fines is in a different.
Okay, I misspoke. I meant fines, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I can pull up the legislation that we had on that. It was quite a number of years ago, and we could look at that and see, how you think it should be adjusted or not.
Any questions? Okay. Well, then I guess this meeting is adjourned.